welcome back to my channel. Today I am planning to decorate some eggs using beeswax to draw on the eggs, and then I'll be dyeing them in layers. This is a traditional Easter craft often associated with Ukraine and it's called pysanky eggs, but it is something that a lot of different cultures have done. When I was growing up, we used to dye eggs by picking flowers and leaves and then pressing them against the egg using an old stocking and boil that with onion skins or turmeric or red cabbage in order to dye the egg a different color. And then once you unwrapped it all and pulled off the leaves and flowers, you would have an impression of where the flowers were. This has popped up in my social media for so many years and I've wanted to try it, but I never have. So this might be a complete disaster, but it'll probably be fun either way. I'm just going to take you through the various materials that I have. I have here a vise and it has a spoon, like a standard soup spoon that's been bent, and underneath I have a tea candle. This will be for melting the beeswax. Traditionally, these eggs have been made using kiska, which are these little specially made kind of nib things that allow you to write on the egg or draw on the egg very precisely. I don't have that, so we're going to fly by the seat of our pants a little bit. What I do have is I have some paint brushes that I am willing to sacrifice to being covered in beeswax. I also have these little ballpoint tools that I think might be good for dotting wax onto the eggs. I have food coloring in red, yellow and blue, which should mean that I can mix up any color that I want. Traditional eggs, they use a special dye, so we're going to see how well this works out for me. And I have a variety of eggs. The eggs in Australia tend to come brown, so this is how they come when you buy them from the store. I have used some vinegar to remove the outer layer on some of these eggs to lighten the color, but this makes the shells a little bit more delicate, so we're going to see how that works. I also have some that have been blown, so there's a little hole in the bottom where we've blown out the inside of the egg, and I have a few that are still whole because I've seen people do it both ways, so we're just going to see what works best for me. Okay, so while the wax is melting, the next step is to draw the designs that I want to do onto the surface of the egg. I understand from watching a few tutorials that you can draw on the eggs using lead pencil, and as you wipe the wax away in the final steps, the pencil markings will come away at the same time. Here is my plan for my first egg. I'm going to do a kind of nighttime scene with little trees and stars in the sky. I'm hoping to do it as a 2-color system. While I was drawing on the egg, I did notice that this was melting really quickly, so I just blew the candle out for a minute just to slow that process. So as you can see, the wax is starting to melt. And I think what I'm going to do is at the top here, I'm going to have little stars in the sky, which will just be dots. So I'm going to start with that because it seems like that will be relatively easy. Okay, so I think I just need to heat the tool a little bit. I did see someone talk about heating the tool before you go in. Wax is quite a strange substance to work with. It's not kind of acting in quite the way I expected it was going to, honestly. I'm finding this candle a little tricky and annoying to use for heating the tool up and heating the wax up as I'm applying it. So I'm just gonna give myself a secondary candle to use for that. I've done my wax drawing on my egg and now I'm ready to put it in the first dye bath. So I'm going to do yellow first. That's some vinegar. I'm just going to top that water up a little bit. Alright, and that's food colouring. I don't really know how much to put in. Let's try that. Alright, I'm just going to use a spoon to see if that's done what it needs to do. Oh, this is going to be really hard to get out of here. I've picked too small a jar. Alright, that's less than I think it needs more time anyway. So I have an idea for this one. I want to cover it in little eyes and then make a dark background for it. So we're going to have a go at this one next. So I've done another egg. This one's going to be a bunch of eyes and then I'm going to make the irises yellow and the background as dark as I can. I don't have black, but I'm going to mix it together the colours and see what I can do. So I'm going to see how that other egg is doing. I'm thinking that the whole eggs are working better than the blow-in eggs are going to work because the blow-in eggs are going to float in the dye bath and they're not going to get an even coating of the colour, whereas the whole eggs sink and I can always blow out the inside of the egg later. I've drawn designs on another egg. It's going to be a little bit more of a traditional sort of quilt-esque kind of design, and this one I'm just going to do I think as a single layer. So I'm thinking I'll make it the colour of the egg, so this light cream colour, and I'll put it in red dye. I'm pretty happy with how that one's looking so far. Cute. I'm going to do this one red. I need to stop out and out just like dunking my hands in the dye. So let's have a look at these yellow guys. feel like you pull them out and there's lots of wet dye on there, and then you soak up the wet dye and they look not very bright. I'm gonna blow my candles out and take a bit of time to do some designs on those. Okay, I think I'm gonna make this one my last one. I'm going with a slightly more traditional design, and we'll see if I'm able to pull that off. This will be the last egg that I'm doing. I think I'm getting better at it. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna put this in yellow dye, and then I'm gonna do a bit more, and then I'm gonna put it in red dye. But first I'm gonna take out the ones that I currently have in the yellow dye, because I wanna do another layer on both of those. Ooh, how's that red looking? Pretty good, I reckon. But we're doing yellow. So I'm going to start with this one. Now you're just supposed to pat the dye off gently. Now I'm just going to get to adding the second layer, which most of this is just going to be filling in bits, which shouldn't take too long. That's that one done. Oh, that's dark. So this one is the one that's going to have little eyes with a dark background. So I think I'm going to put that in the red dye first and then put it in the blue and keep doing that until it gets dark enough. So I think I'm ready now to wipe away the wax on this first egg that I'm just doing as a single layer and see how it's come out. So the way that it's suggested to do this, there's a couple of ways, but the way I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently melt the wax against the candle I have here, and I'm going to wipe the wax away. Okay, I think that's pretty cool. So that's number 1 done. I think it's time to put this blue one. I'm gonna have rainbow hands by the end of this. So that's what it looks like freshly out of the dye. I'm sorry that my hands look so disgusting. If I was using gloves or being at all sensible about this, I could probably avoid that, but I am the person I am, and that's what I've done. It takes quite a while to melt and wipe off all the wax that's still on the egg. But the fun of it is definitely taking the wax off, which, because of all the carbon of the candle and things, has gone quite black, and kind of revealing the egg underneath. I'm a little bit disappointed with how little the yellow showed up in this, so I think the one that I've still got going that has a yellow section, I might just dunk in the red for a little while because the red is much more vibrant. But otherwise, I think it's really cute. It's a little wonky, but for my first go at doing this, I think it's come out really cute. So you can see my wonky little moon and stars. And those are meant to be trees. I don't know if I really pulled off the trees. This is the one that's in the yellow, and it looks pretty yellow right now, but I reckon by the time it dries and I wipe off the residual dye, it's going to be really light. So I'm gonna dunk that into the red for a while. Okay, so that's the last egg done. I think I'm going to try mixing some of the blue food colouring with the yellow food colouring to see if I can make these little leaves green. Ooh. I just mixed them together and I dunked some paper towel in to see what the colour was. So that's my green. So it's the next day, and I just wanted to pop on and show you the final results of the eggs. I ran out of time yesterday to finish up recording. Sorry about the plastic container I have them in, it's not super attractive. My favorite one for sure is this one here. I'm just really happy with how the colors came out, and I think the design kind of reads better than the other ones. I also quite like this one, which is just a more simple kind of one layer, and the red has come out quite nice and vibrant, I think. This one came out okay, but it's just a bit of a shame that the yellow isn't as vibrant as I would have hoped. And similarly with this one, it was meant to be eyes on a relatively dark surface, and because the yellow for the irises didn't really come out, I don't think it reads as well as it could. Because the dye has vinegar in it and is acidic, if you leave it in the dye too long, I found, it starts to eat away the surface that it is already dyed, so you actually end up with a white egg if you leave it in there too long. My key takeaways from my little project are that yellow food coloring is not a strong enough dye. So I would stick to the bolder colors if you're going to copy this. Making clean marks is just a matter of practice. I think I got better as I went on. I also suggest that you lay down some paper or something to cover your work surface, because I will be scraping drips of wax off my table from now until the rest of eternity. The other thing I learned is that gloves are your friend. It is the next day and my hands are still mildly dyed from the food coloring. It did come off my table, fortunately, pretty easily though, so that's a relief. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like more content from me, most of my work is printmaking and specifically Linocut work. Please subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every Wednesday or Thursday. Let me know if you decorate your own eggs for Easter or at another time of year. I'd be really interested to see what kind of techniques other people use for these kinds of projects. And I will see you in the next video.